Now I'm going to teach you about the types of stationary points. There are three types of them: maximum point, minimum point, points of inflection. Now for points of inflection, there are two possibilities. Let's look at maximum point first. This is a maximum point. As you can see, it is the highest point of the curve. Why is this called a maximum point? This is because the y-coordinate of this point is greater than the y-coordinate of any other points of the curve. That is why it is called a maximum point. Now, let's look at what happens with a maximum point. At the maximum point, the gradient is 0 because it's a stationary point. Before the maximum point, you can see that the curve is going up. Therefore, the gradient here is positive. After the stationary point, you can see that the curve goes down. So the gradient here is negative. So from before the maximum point to after the maximum point, the gradient changes from positive to 0 to negative. This is what you need to know for maximum point. Now, what about a minimum point? You can see that it is the lowest point of the curve. Why is it called a minimum point? Just like the maximum point, the y-coordinate of this point is the smallest among the y-coordinate of all the points of the curve. That is why it is called a minimum point. Now, at this minimum point, the gradient is 0. Before this point, you can see that the curve goes down. So the gradient here is negative. After this point, the curve goes up. So the gradient here is positive. So for a minimum point, the gradient changes from negative before the point to 0 at the point to positive after the point. You need to take note of this because this will be used in what we call the first derivative test to determine the kind of point that a stationary point is, which means whether it is a maximum point, minimum point, or point of inflection. Now let's look at the points of inflection. As you can see, it is different from a maximum point from a minimum point. The curve goes up. Here is the stationary point, then the curve goes up again. So here, at this point, the gradient is 0. Before the point, the gradient is positive. After the point, the gradient is still positive. So from before the point to the point to after the point, the gradient changes from positive to 0 to positive. Same sign. Let's look at the second possibility. The curve goes down, reaches the stationary point, and goes down again. At this point, the gradient is 0. Before this point, the curve is going down, so the gradient is negative. After this point, the curve continues to go down. So the gradient is still negative. So before the point, the gradient is negative. At the point is 0, after it is still negative. So this is how the gradient of a curve with a point of inflection shown here changes.